Long ago, a wise king embarked on a sea journey. His ship was filled with hopeful hearts, but an unexpected storm shattered the ship. All passengers drowned at sea, except for one man who miraculously survived by God's grace. His survival wasn't just a coincidence. It was part of God's mysterious plan. Here is the incredible adventure the man experienced. The ship sank, and all passengers drowned at sea, except for one man who survived by God's grace and somehow reached the shore. When he regained consciousness and opened his eyes, he found himself stranded in deserted Thailand. As soon as he woke up, the man started praying to God and said, "Oh God, please help me, send me assistance." Days passed, but no help came. He spent his nights sleeping on the beach. The next day when he woke up, he prayed to God again, but still no help arrived. This went on for several days, and he finally accepted his fate as a deserted islander. The man started gathering some wood and grass and built himself a shelter. He salvaged some things from the wrecked ship and placed them in his shelter. He survived on coconuts and fish, staying in the shelter and passing his days. One day, he lit a fire and bent down to cook, but when he turned back, he saw that his shelter was on fire. He was deeply saddened by the loss of his only refuge. In anger, he looked up at the sky and started complaining to God. "Oh God, I asked you for help, but you're not listening to my prayers. I had built a shelter to live here, and you burned it down. You're so cruel." He was very disappointed and continued to complain to God until nightfall, then fell asleep on the beach. He woke up in the morning with a loud noise, a very loud voice. When he opened his eyes, he saw a ship approaching. He couldn't believe it. Finally, seeing help arrive made him very happy. He boarded the ship and set sail. The man asked the person on board, "How did you know that I was stranded on that deserted island?" The captain replied, "We saw a distant signal sent from the island. We realized that someone was there, so we came here." The man said, "But I never sent a fire signal." The captain said, "But we only came here after seeing the fire signal." At that moment, the man remembered his burning shelter. He realized that the fire signal the captain mentioned was his burning shelter. He understood that God's plan was to ignite his heart to get him out of the deserted island. He realized that God's plan was greater than his own and was better for him. So he began to thank God. We plan many things in our lives, but what we desire doesn't always happen, and what hasn't happened does. We try to understand the events in our lives with our limited intelligence, but in reality, God has a purpose and a plan for each of us. When difficulties arise, our faith starts to waver, patience diminishes, hope fades, and we begin to complain to God. However, in such times, we should strive to overcome challenges while maintaining our faith in God. With 7 billion people in the world, God has a purpose and a plan for each of us. We should continue our efforts without losing faith in God, because our efforts combined with God's grace can overcome every difficulty. So when you feel that your plans in life are failing, when everything seems to be going against your desires, always remember that maybe God has another plan for you, and His plan is always bigger, bolder, and better than yours. In life, we often try to judge events with our minds, comparing them later with a man. However, when our troubles increase, our faith weakens, our patience breaks, and our hope fades. In such times, we should strive to overcome challenges while maintaining our faith in God. For each of the 7 billion people on earth, God has a purpose and a plan. We should continue our efforts while keeping our faith, because our efforts combined with God's grace can overcome every difficulty. So, when you feel that your plans in life are failing, when everything seems to be going against your desires, always remember that maybe God has another plan for you, and this plan is always bigger, bolder, and better than your own. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Stay happy.